First stop, Cripple Creek. Early 1900s mining town. Elevation 9,500 feet. Pretty cool. Oh, break. Cool architecture. Cripple Creek Mine. We're gonna go on a tour. We're gonna go 1,000 feet straight down to the ground. The mining buildings over there. It's gonna be pretty cool. There's a cage we're gonna hop into. Should be fun. Feet.
It's not cold. It's cold. It's cold. This is how warm my room is.
Probably cold depending on where it's from.
Dude, don't you think?
You've been here for a long time.
Dude.
Yep, I'll have everyone just pile in here a little bit more for me. Let's just make sure everybody gets a good view here. All right, everybody, welcome to the Mollie Kathleen Gold Mine. My name is Harley, and I'm going to give you your tour today. This mine opened up in 1891. And back in 1891, there was only a couple different ways of drilling a hole for your dynamite. Now, the first one is called single jacking, and has a single jacker working down here. You're issued a striker, and you're issued a bowl steel. And the whole time you're down here, your job is to hit it and spin it. So I'm going to show everybody what that looks like. The reason that you spin it after you hit it every time is to get a nice bored out hole for that dynamite to fit into. Now, as a single jacker working down here, you were also issued a candle at the beginning of your shift. However, you would do a few different reasons. The main one being oxygen. A lot of the time you didn't use this candle. So I'm going to show everybody what it was like working down here as a single jacker. You guys ready? Anybody nervous?
I'm just scared of those zombies over there.
Oh, yeah. Now, the zombies, they're called double jackers. And you can see that guy in the back there's got the striker, and the guy sitting forward there has got the bowl steel on his shoulder.
Oh my god.
Every time the guy behind him hits it, he spins it. And you do have to be careful if you're the guy in the back.
Yeah.
If you accidentally hit your buddy, he's going to take a turn just a few minutes later. They constantly switch back and forth during their shift. And it can become a pretty vicious cycle. Now these guys were issued 2 candles, and I'll show everybody what it was like for them. Are you guys ready?
Gosh.
Oh, this is nice down here. You can take a nap.
So I'll just need a volunteer for someone to be the guy sitting forward there. Now Dave here, he is operating what's known as a Jim Crow or a rail bender. And as we go along the mines today, you guys are going to see the rails bend around different corners, the different drift cuts and things like that. Now this tool here is how all of that is accomplished. Now this main area you guys are going to walk along today, I know it kind of looks like a tunnel, but it's actually not. It's what they call a crosscut. And a crosscut is any tunnel that leads to and from the entrance or exit of a mine. So in other words, once we get down here, it's a place to go from point A to point B. Now, as we get a little bit farther up, you guys are going to start to see tunnels that drift off to the side. And these are actually, well, drift tunnels. So in other words, you're tunneling following veins. It's a little bit different, and I'll explain a little bit more about that farther on. Now, after a while, the problems with the candles and the oxygen, they actually did switch over to calcium carbide lanterns. Now, this is a calcium carbide lantern. Calcium carbide goes in the bottom here, and on the top is a water dripper. That water drips down onto the carbide, creating a gas that comes out the front. It's called acetylene gas. When you light it, it does produce a really nice, bright, white flame. However, miners really like these because they actually use just about half the oxygen as a regular candle does. If you guys look right up here, these are also calcium carbide lanterns. Now, an experienced miner does know to stay away from these. And the reason for that is all day you're working, you do have an exposed flame on your forehead. So say you drop something on the ground and bend to pick it up. that flame is going to wrap around your helmet and it'll take off your eyebrows. Take off parts of your beard. If you have long hair, it'll take off parts of your hair. So at the end of every day when you're done working, you can usually spot the tenderfoots or the brand new miners because they're almost always missing their eyebrows. It's a dead giveaway. Kind of like Dave over here.
Oh, there you go.
Now, as everybody goes by, if you guys check out the podium, when these guys weren't actually mining, they would hold competitions here in Cripple Creek and Victor to see who were the best and fastest single and double jackers. Now, the double jacking world record is actually still held here in Cripple Creek at 15 minutes for a 58-inch hole.
Wow.
That record was set in 1911, and they still hold these competitions today.
That's impressive.
Did everybody get a good look here?
Yep.
Okay, follow me right down this way.
Yeah, sorry, Dave.
That rock and ore falls. It falls down on the steel plates. His job is to scrape it up and fill a 1-ton ore cart once an hour. If he cannot do that, unfortunately, he is going to be fired. And the reason for that is Bob back there is one of the highest paid miners of 1890, and he makes $3 a day. Your average miner, they get paid $2. And the reason that he gets the extra dollar is just because all day long he does back-breaking labor. Now, there was a gentleman that lived in Victor, Colorado, a town a few miles from here, and he worked for several of these different mines as a mucker. He was fired from all of them because he really just couldn't keep up with the other guys. Now, this same gentleman, later on, became a world heavyweight boxing champion. His name is Jack Dempsey. Now, if that tells you how hard these muckers down here work, that someone that could be a world heavyweight boxing champion just really couldn't keep up with them in their day-to-day routines. And this is Jack Dempsey here, everybody. And if you guys look really, 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 really closely, you'll see a striking resemblance. You guys look right over there. That is an MCO 12B mucking machine. And that can do what takes Bob an hour in just a few short minutes. Originally it was steam powered. Now it's powered pneumatically. Instead of explaining a whole lot about it, I'm going to operate it for you guys. However, before I do, I'm going to warn you, it is a little bit loud. So if you guys want to cover your ears, it's going to be completely up to you. Do you have a question? Oh, sorry, this one's not for riding. All right, I'm going to put a safety chain up right here, just to make sure no one's going to be close enough to get hit with anything.
It's raining.
Yeah, because I think it scoops up and then just kind of sit back and strip it.
Oh, it's been raining.
All right, everybody ready? Yeah.
That was quick.
When you get pretty good on one of these, it takes about 4 minutes to fill a 1-ton ore cart.
Wow.
And it's a lot better than shoveling. Yeah. Now, as I move this chain, everybody follows me around the corner here. I'm gonna give you guys a heads up. There's gonna start to be a white substance that coats the granite just a little bit farther down. It is magnesium sulfate, more commonly known as Epsom salt. Now, for those of you guys who don't know anything about it, it is a natural laxative. So if you guys touch the granite, it's not gonna hurt you. However, if you decide to take those same fingers and stick them in your mouth for one reason or another without washing your hands, you can plan on having a pretty rough rest of the day. Just a fair warning for everybody. But as long as nobody licks the granite, you guys should be good. All right, follow me right down this way.
Huh?
That's engineered marble right there. You see how fast that was?
Yeah. Other than an hour with the guy with the shovel. Magnesium. Lick it, lick it. It's like snow.
Nope, besides in the case. That's the only laxative that for you guys to see. Now, this is our dynamite display. And this right here to my left is a 1911 Gardner Denver. Most people call it a collar drill. Now, this came around to replace double jacking, and I'm going to operate it for you guys today. However, before I do, and I'm gonna give you guys kind of a heads up, I'm gonna run a bunch of different equipment for you guys today. It's all gonna be pretty loud, so just keep that in mind, okay? All right. Everybody ready?
There you go.
Okay, here we go. Now, as you're drilling your hole, you have a 2-foot bit, a 4-foot bit, and a 6-foot bit. And after you're 6 feet back, it gets 4 sticks of dynamite. It's just like this on the inside of the granite. Now, does anybody here know anything about gel dynamite other than it goes boom? It's a stick? Yeah. You light it and run? Yeah, well, you attach a fuse to what they call a blasting cap. And a blasting cap, all it is kind of like a little firework. It creates an initial detonation that sets off the actual stick. But so you crimp a blasting cap onto a stick of dynamite and then you light it, yep. But big problem that we have down here with gel dynamite, like you guys see in the case, is that you're gonna light that fuse and you are going to move. You're gonna go back down past that mucking machine, you go halfway down that next tunnel, then you're going to stop and you're gonna count. You're gonna count each shot of dynamite as it goes off. And the reason that you do that is basically because if you don't get the right count, you do know that there's an unexploded stick, either in the granite or the mucking pile on the ground. Now, in either of those situations, you're gonna go track down that guy with no eyebrows, and you're gonna hand him this. All the spoon. Now, kind of like today, where you're the newer guy at a job, so you get all the kind of tougher, more difficult things about that job. Well, it was no different back then down here. So his job would be to come down here and physically scrape out that dynamite from the granite or the mucking pile on the ground. And the reason that you use the tenderfoot, or that guy with no eyebrows, is because in 1891, you really could not afford to put any of your experienced miners out of commission. So in other words, until you had proven yourself to be an experienced miner, they did consider you first up for all the more dangerous or difficult jobs down here. You guys want to come right around here in the corner here for me?
Poking dynamite.
Now, after a while, the problems with the gel dynamite.
Dynamite.
Antho mix is actually a mixture between ammonium nitrate, diesel fuel, and fertilizer. It packs an incredible punch. You guys have ever heard of the Oklahoma City bombing?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, it was actually antho mix that was used in that. There's a little sample of it there in our case. Looks like tiny brown pellets. Now, right here to my left, this is a jackleg drill. And normally I would operate this for you guys today. However, this little orange here means that they're doing maintenance on it for one reason or another. But I'll explain it to you guys a little bit. The biggest difference between the jackleg here and the column that you guys just seen over there is this one is a one-man operation. It weighs about 70 pounds. So a guy like me has no problem picking it up, moving it, setting it up, drilling all by myself. Whereas in the column drill, you can drill with one man, but you need 2 men to pick it up, move it, set it up. This one has the hydraulic leg here, just to kind of give you that extra leverage that you need to keep going. And that's the biggest difference there. Now, I'm going to play a recording for you guys. And this is a recording of an actual dynamite blast that was done here in the mine. And I just want everyone to listen for me and count. When it gets over, I'll ask you how many you heard, and I'll tell you whether or not you could be a miner. All right, starting this side.
11 or 12.
11 or 12?
I counted 15.
15?
Oh, she's better. I counted 11.
11? 12?
19.
19?
Not gonna be a
Wow.
liar.
I'm on that 11.
11? 10. All right, bud, you're the closest. There's actually 23 rounds of dynamite that were detonated in that recording. Now, what most of you are hearing is echoes, or actually more sticks of dynamite going off.
Oh, wow, that's.
Now, don't feel bad. I have ever only had one person get it completely right on my tour, and he was 7 years old. Now, to give you guys kind of an example of how it's called fluoride. Now, fluoride, besides that nice purple color, really isn't worth a whole lot. However, when you find fluoride, most of the time down here, you're going to find gold ore. They go hand in hand. So when we get down here, this is how we find the gold. We follow the purple veins. Now, once we find our purple veins, we have a couple different options. The first one being, if they follow a head straight in front of us, we're going to build another tunnel, and that's called a drift. If you guys look right down there, that's a drift. Now, your second option is when a vein goes vertically or at a slight angle. And in that case, you build a stope. If you guys look right above me here, this is the beginning of a stope. Now, a stope essentially is where you delimb trees on the surface, you bring them down here, you wedge them between the rocks, and you use them as scaffolding as you continue to dynamite up. If you guys look, you can still see those 4-eye veins they were following when they built this particular stope. Now, once you dynamite and all that rock and ore falls, you don't want to pay a bunch of muckers to spend all day back here clearing this out. So you're going to use this machine here called a slusher to drag it all out to your ore guards. I'm going to operate this one for you guys today. However, before I do, and I think you guys kind of get where I'm going with this, it's going to be a little loud, that's right. And everyone can kind of scoot in just to make sure you guys get a good view. I'd hate for anybody to miss it.
Okay, see, okay?
Okay, can everybody see okay? Here we go. So basically a big drag line. And if you guys look, here's a visual display so you can see exactly how it's done. And while everybody checks this area out here, I'm just going to squeeze by you. Excuse me, everybody.
So we're all the miners done?
I'm sorry, what? a lot of miners didn't have the best hearing back the time they got out of here now.
I'm sure as time went on, you were
Well, according to MSHA regulations, anything over 70 decibels use earplugs.
What was that we just heard then?
That one right there is at about 65. The one that you heard at first was about 65. The column drill runs about 70, and the highest one I'm going to run for you guys is at 110. And that's called the wiggle tail. They're just something cool for you guys to see while you're down here. When we go through the old mining system, we have to kick them down and get them out of the way and things like that all the time. So. Hammers up and down into that granite is just to sit there and spin it. The reason you sit there and spin it the entire time, once again, is to get a nice bored out hole for that dynamite to fit into. Now, does anybody know, as a gold miner, why you would always go from the bottom of a vein rather than from the top? Well, the reason for that, and the reason that we always try to go from the bottom, and then every once in a while you might find one in the middle, something along those lines, but the reason we always try and go from the bottom on these vertical veins is because when you go from the bottom and you dynamite, all that rock and ore comes down to you. Gravity brings it all down to you where you can load it up and bring it to the surface. Whereas then when you go from the top, every time you blast or detonate, you have to clear it all out before you can proceed to go.
Yeah.
So that's the reason that we always go from the bottom, just in case you guys were wondering. Now, I'm going to operate this one for you guys today. That's right. Exactly. All right, is everybody ready? Not too terrible. You guys want to follow me right down this way?
That's a good job.
Look to your left. You'll see a
Really cool picture on the wall.
And you can just see the conditions in which these guys work compared to, say, what we do.
We have cush jobs.
Wait a minute, they're not wearing helmets.
No, they didn't wear any miners helmets back then.
Oh, see?
So
I was right.
They are wearing bow ties, though.
Their priorities.
They must have known they were going to get a picture taken of that.
Dress code.
Back then, I'm guessing pictures weren't all that common of an occurrence. Right. Yeah, if everyone will just keep piling in here for me. Now, the area those men are working on right there eventually became another stope, and it's what they call the Queen Bess Stope. If I could direct everybody's attention up here, this is the Queen Bess Stope. It's the largest stope still on display here in North America. It goes up 760 feet, or to our second level. To climb the entire thing takes about an hour and a half to get to the top.
Oh, sorry. Oh, there's some.
Is that extra?
Believe me, if we could take people up there, I would. That's why they took the ladder out on the bottom here.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the biggest stope we have in the district actually belongs to the El Paso mine, and they call it the Jewelry Room Stope. Now, that stope is so massive that it took 200 men 10 years to completely deplete it of its resources.
There's someone over there. I know it's Bob. I know him from work.
is George. Now, I was telling you guys a little bit earlier about the restroom, so this is it. They would just blast out a hole in the side of the rock with dynamite, put a makeshift door over it, and then they'd take old dynamite boxes and convert them into what they call honey pots. Now, at the end of the day, the nippers are the ones that bring the honey pots to the surface, and they're the children that work for the mine. They're usually between the ages of 12 and 15. And they usually make just about 50 cents a day. Now, since we are right here by the restroom, everybody give me about 15 minutes. We're going to get right back to the tour. Right? No, I'm just joshing everybody. If you guys look to the right there as we go by, you'll see the Black Diamond crosscut, and that actually leads to the Black Diamond mine. That mine has been closed for more than 85 years. Okay, here we go, everybody. Alright, you guys have fun with the tram ride?
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you're a you can ride it if you want.
So were these real, were they miners? Like this Julian Davis?
Julian Davis and Nick Cox were both.
I'll just.
Wow.
This is heavy.
And a little bit. What do they use this for?
It's a foreman's bike, so yeah, that's how he rolls around and checks on all the workers while they're mining down here.
So it's the guy with the boat
Yeah, I
cut.
don't think my legs are cut. No.
Yes, you can do it.
You can stand and ride it. It's easy.
It sucks in all the dust, so that way miners can sit down here and eat while they're still drilling and dynamiting other sections of the mine. Now, a lot of people like to joke, well, mainly me, that this is the original Hard Rock Cafe.
Oh. But the miners had to bring their own food.
Yes. No lunch is provided.
No.
So they just carried their lunch with them?
Yep. Well, they would put it by their feet, so they could all fit inside the skips. And then when they get out, they grab it and go off. Because if you hold it in your hand, it kind of makes more space where everyone's trying to fit in. So they would leave it usually between their legs on the floor.
But if they're over placing the dynamite and stuff, their lunch is right with them?
No, their lunch is going to stay in a certain area where everybody's lunch is. Then they just pick them up as their group goes to lunch, or they're basically their TS level, and you'd had some kind of accident or emergency. You would ring a 217. 21 is going to let them know, hey, I'm on the 6th level. And 7 is going to let them know there's some kind of emergency, an accident, something's happened. Now, no matter what mine you work at, you have to know the bell system. It's been Colorado state law for more than 100 years. I do know it's not every day that you're 1,000 feet underground next to a big miner's bell. So if any of you guys would like to give it a ring or anything like that, you're more than welcome to while I go get these skips ready. Straight down.
Oh, geez. He's off the.
Oh, that was
Not all of it.
Got it?
Well, hey.
Can't get it.
Good try. I'm surprised it goes just as fast up as it goes down.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I know.
So is this a better ride than it is?
Shorter line, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Did you guys do that train?
No.
Wow.
That's bright.
Oh gosh. Sunglasses on.